All right. Welcome everyone for the second live session of the Afrofuturism, episode 2. Let's see how it goes. I am going to share my screen right now. 1 second. Let's see. Share the screen. Let's go do this. At the template. That's how you write short stories. So I don't have a title. Actually, let me get what I would say is the link of this. And then I am going to start. I want to share this link. Let's see, copy. Just gonna share it with people, just know that I'm doing this experiment. I think this is ready. All right. All right. I wanted to do this experiment to really get myself to write, sit down and produce something. And last time that I did this was last Sunday. I couldn't do it yesterday, but I'm doing it today and I'm going to do it again on Sunday, this upcoming Sunday. But the whole notion of this was really to see behind the scenes of my creative process. So right now, over the next hour, we're going to create a short story, an Afrofuturistic story based on some of the themes I've experienced this week, maybe some of the comments that I hear today. I always start with a title. I always start with a title, and I think the title will be, I think, who will you become? Put that. I think that's going to be the title. Who will you? And I feel like what I hear initially from this, I see a young, like, Black boy. That's kind of the initial framework that I see. I see a young Black boy that is somewhere and is trying to define their future. I don't know. Let's see where it goes. I'm just gonna start typing and we'll see where it goes. You see, one of the cliches they always say in writing stories is that there's such a cliche of people waking up from a specific like there's always a cliche of starting a scene or starting a story with people waking up. I guess it works, but I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna do that, but so young Zuluk, that's his name. And I'm gonna say that he's part of like a royal family or something. Let's see, young Zuluk. Millennials ago. I hope that's the right spelling. Young Zuluk looked up to the stars and began to dream of life on Earth. His family left to Jupiter for Jupiter millennia ago. Earth had become a distant dream. I just said that, a distant myth. Now it's like trying to imagine what that world would look like. What would life in Jupiter and some unknown future look like? I don't know. I know Jupiter has one of the largest storms, like the swirl in the Jupiter's the famous swirl that we see in Jupiter's picture is actually a storm. It's a hurricane storm that's been there for hundreds of years. So I wonder if that can give us insight into the life. Last week I did a little bit of apocalyptic and dystopian, but I think we'll continue to that theme. We'll see. I'm just gonna ride for the next 5 minutes and see where this leads. Okay, so he walked to his room and moved into. See, I think a lot of it is like usually when you're stuck with writing is like you don't trust that what you're writing. It's like you're not necessarily connecting with yourself. It's like right now, like I think like I'm like, okay, am I gonna do the wrong story? Maybe this could be different. I think if I just do this uninhibited creative expression, things will come out more. So I'm gonna try to do that. Okay. He walked into his room. Jupiterian society. Just made that up. So okay, I'm starting to get a vision of this world. It's so surreal. Young Zuluk looked up to the stars and began to dream of life on Earth. His family left for Jupiter millennia ago. Earth had become a distant myth. He walked into his room, clothes on the floor, or I don't think he would walk on his in his room. I think he would not in he walked in his room, inside his room. He paced, I would say he paced around his room, walking over his clothes on the floor, his metallic shoes, and a window completely reflecting a digital image of passing commercials from this Jupiterian society. He opened the circular door of the floor and jumped into it. He arrived to the main frame space where hundreds, thousands, not hundreds, I would say hundreds of people still in pajamas were walking towards the line of food that had extended itself all the way to I would say all gender bathroom. We'd hope that the society um is somewhat how do I say is somewhat motivated to like think and act in terms of those processes. Let's see. He arrived to the mainframe. So I want to monitor the chat to see if anyone pops in. Let's see. I'm just gonna have this on the corner here. Last time I tried to play some music, but YouTube got me. YouTube said that you have to like cite the songs. I was playing random songs, and because of that, I can't monetize it apparently. So we might get a quiet thing. I have to be more prepared for next time and play some free royalty songs. I think all this is just preparation. Okay. I think last time I like cranked up the thing so you could see. So who will he become? Will I add aliens in this? I think so. An older. Ice socks or ice socks? I would just say an older purplish creature with frog-like hands screamed. Lipo. I'm gonna call him Lipo. So Lipo. Okay, I think. Okay, so all the all great stories have conflicts in it. That is the basic notion of storytelling, is like it must have conflict. So if I started the process, if I started this short story where he was dreaming of life on Earth, then like how would have Earth evolved? And is Earth still, or is Earth even important? I want to be able to have him. I feel like this is about the moment where I erase everything that I've written and then just start all over. I feel like there's something that's lacking. Maybe I'll take out this title. This title is distracting me. I think it's forcing me to be in a certain flow about who will you become. I think I'm gonna say untitled right now at this point. Like, what would this character want? Okay, so this character is in Jupiter. There's a Jupiterian society. So there's extraterrestrials that are living. This character is black and he's dreaming of Earth. Why would he dream of Earth? Like, why would people, like, I guess, is life so nihilistic in this space? And maybe that could be the space to explore. Like, there's no beaches, there's no blue sky. You can't go outside and breathe fresh air. Maybe Zuluk lives in a space where he's completely inside and he doesn't necessarily like he hears of the stories of when there is an atmosphere, and but there's no atmosphere there because there's this 1,000-year-old hurricane that just keeps swirling and toxic energies, toxic gases. So I wonder how I can depict that, and what is he gonna do about it? Like, what is he gonna do about this? Let's see. We Marcinians don't sleep at all. He's having this is the moment where ideas from the chat would be fantastic. But I think I'm just gonna do a stream of consciousness here and then see what happens. What's something you look like you haven't slept in a while? Zuluk says, uh, we Martians don't sleep how to write. I wonder, I wonder if I could change this. I almost feel like instead of making Lipo the person that's hasn't slept, I think it should be Zuluk, that like is the one that's sleeping, because I literally start the story with him waking up or looking up to the stars and dreaming of Earth. So I think he should be the one that's frustrated, not the alien. So I'm gonna try to do some editorial shift here. I'm gonna say lipo, lipo, Zuluk. Let's see, Zuluk shouts to an an older looking purplish creature with frog-like hands. Let's see. So I'm just doing some edits right now. I'm trying to shift the character. I don't think it works in the way that it does. Zuluk looked around and so okay, wait, Lipo looked around. I would say. So feel free to add to the chat because I can definitely add some ideas. Lipo looked around and saw Zuluk. What's up, man? You look like you haven't slept in a while. Okay, I think Lipo says this. Unless Lipo says this, right? Uh, okay, I'm almost there. You go. I think these are the beginning edits. Okay, so Lipo Zuluk shouts to an older looking purplish creature with frog-like hands. Lipo looked around and saw Zuluk. What's up, man? You look like you haven't slept in a while, Lipo says. Right, but I sense, wait, there you go. I sense a tiredness in your voice, in your voice. Lipo continues to say, raising his eyes. You know, living here hasn't been great, Zulu said. Okay, yeah, I think this solves this thing. Okay, what do you mean? We're inside a large metal tube that extends out for 20 miles. Let's see if there's any. Let's see. That extends out for 20 miles. 10 miles out. It's the only thing protecting us from the outside world. So I'm giving a little bit of the world building to see where they're at. It's the only thing protecting us from the outside world. And this in the toxic air, there's atmosphere. I think it's a stronger atmosphere of Jupiter. Pull. Says, well, so Zuluk is not having a great time living in this metallic structure under deep pressures in planet Jupiter. I wonder, so the conflict is that he doesn't feel like he's not sleeping well. I think that can be the conflict, but what is he going to do about it? Should I think they should sneak outside and like go out and explore this space. Okay. Okay, I think this is going somewhere. this, this is going somewhere. This is not futile. I think there's something to the story. Starting was a rough start, but I think I'm starting to get the flow. I think I know where they're gonna go. They're gonna go outside, and they're gonna have to put a suit on, like a space suit on. You know what might cheer you up? Lipos said, scratching his face with a purple hand. What? Uh, I don't know if that's their proper English, but who cares? Zuluk responded with a seriousness of apathy. I think where I traveled last year. It's the most peaceful place and I know that's gonna happen. Funny. Okay, I think we have one comment. Let's see. Okay, what is causing the toxic atmosphere in Tennessee? And is the atmosphere really toxic, or is it a way to control society? I don't know. I think that's a really, really great question. I don't know. That is actually a good point. That could add a sense of like dystopia. Because I initially always thought that like in Jupiter, it's like the atmosphere sucks and there's this large hurricane that is endlessly like twisting. It's literally been twisting for 1,000 years. So I'm trying to imagine what life would look like. So this society is living under a metallic structure that's kind of circular. And then that's where these like aliens slash humans live together. And Zuluk is definitely having some mental health challenges. And I think his friend Lipo is going to try to cheer him up by leaving that space. I think they're going to travel somewhere into the toxic space. But I really like that. I'm going to see if I can include, like, I can move as some like world building around that toxic atmosphere, both in a literal sense and also a figuratively sense. Let's see, there is this spot that I traveled to last year. So it's just very following. One person has a purple hand. It's one alien. Let's see, they both leave. Maybe the alien can breathe in that space. They both leave the cafeteria space. They open the sliding door. No, I think like open the sliding metallic. Because that's more active voice. See, I've always struggled with passive and active voice. That is literally something that I need to get better at. Let's see what you say. Is it more peaceful? That's the question. They both leave the treasure, opens a sliding metallic car with his case and his neck. Jules follows him. After a few minutes, they enter. Level. Toxic atmosphere. So because of what you mentioned, I'm conceiving that there's three types of suits, and black suit, the black suit, the which was the most advanced one for, like, I'm trying to say something like this. So there's three different levels of suits, like the blue suits, the black suit, and the white suit. Maybe I'll say the white suit. They each determine the level of threshold they would travel in this oxygenation. They each wore, no, they picked, I want to say they picked the black suit, which was okay. So now I have literally 33 minutes to finish the story. So I'm not even in the middle. I have to get to the climax because I think it's gonna be pretty intense when they go outside, like outside of that space. Because I just see, like, I'm kind of picking up like The Martian with Andy Weir with Matt Damon, when there's like this storm during Mars where everything was just super blurry. I think that's the scene that I'm picking that they're gonna go through. They picked the black suit, which was the most advanced one and suited to sustain the most gases. Sure. I don't know. This is strange because I'm looking at this. I'm seeing this person that is in a space and they're trying to escape because they didn't feel comfortable. I'm wondering if this is like a self-narrative of like when I lived in DC, or like that kind of, I don't know. Maybe the subconscious mind is playing a thing here since I just moved to LA. But so they just picked the suit. They picked the black suit, which was the most advanced one and suited to sustain the corrosive gases on Jupiter. I'm just going to say on Jupiter. Zuluk wasn't afraid, yet knew that only new experiences. Wait, I messed up here. That new experiences were the only thing that could bring him to comfort. Okay. They both flew out of the base. Energy beam. An energy beam vibrated their backs. What color would the energy beam be? A yellow. So, colors are important to a yellow energy beam vibrated on their backs. Or large two-way gate. And another one closed behind them. Their size. You see, right now I was gonna say like I was gonna have him make a conversation where I say like, "Oh, this is dangerous," but I think instead of you see, there's always something in storytelling where it's like you want to show, you want to tell things, but it's like the key thing is you have to show things. So I'm not gonna have the character Lipo say, or you like, I'm not gonna have the character say like, "Oh, are you sure? Like this is dangerous. Like you shouldn't do this." I'm gonna show that danger. See what happens. I wonder. I think I wonder what color the toxic atmosphere could be, because it's not going to be reddish like Mars, because it's already been there, done that. I'm thinking green, but green almost means like it's like there's something that's causing it to be green. Maybe that could be part of the thing. I don't know. We'll see. They both levitated with the. They both levitated. I'm just gonna put this. Okay, let's see. They both levitated. Yeah, man, whatever. Let's do this. Zuluk says in an excited manner. They levitated and flew out of the, of the base. They entered a large valley. The fog was green. I don't know if the fog was green, because Jupiter is not green. I'm gonna say orange. The fog was orange. The fog was orange. The boulders. You see, another problem is that the main character Zuluk is literally not doing anything to move the story forward. That is another problem. Usually, like great stories is when the character takes action. Right now, Zuluk is literally just going and on for the ride. So I have to make it so that he like the story is not happening to him, but he's driving the story forward. So I have something's gonna happen. They levitated and flew out of the base. They entered a large valley. The fog was orange. Boulders of rocks are flying in every direction. Winds loud. Their blacks. Their black suits emitted a small. Oh, okay, I like this vision, this picture. Their foreheads were large. The foreheads were large. On the foreheads, no, wait a minute. On the forehead were large. I want to just say large flashlight. So you can imagine two little small bodies flowing in this large valley, and then there's just like orange fog and wind. Things are moving in all directions. On their foreheads were large flashlights that led the way. Suddenly, a large screech. I'm gonna say a few hours, like a few minutes later, a large screech was heard. That echoed. I'm gonna say I've heard stories disappearing. I'm just adding a conflict here. Zulu. Okay. Let's see. Lipo, did you hear this? I've heard stories of people disappearing, Zulu said. Pom pom pom. I did hear large snake-like creature. A large snake-like creature with what? What with with rocky scales. Green eyes. Oh. I did hear, but my question now is like, do they know that this creature exists? And like, or is this the first time that people like in that society encounter this snake creature? I don't know. I think I like the idea that it's more so like a myth, and they don't really know if this snake creature, they don't even know this snake creature lives in Jupiter. It's been like millennia since they've been here. Or maybe I don't have to make this millennia. Maybe I can make this like a couple 200-300 years after they moved here. Maybe that could be. I'm gonna say, yeah, millennia makes it a little crazy. I'm gonna say that his family left for Jupiter 300 years ago. That makes it more years ago. Okay. So this makes it so that they haven't really explored Jupiter fully. And maybe this is the same ship that landed. So I did hear it, but it's fine. It's fine. Lipo says comes. A large snake creature with rocky scales, green eyes, moved right in front. It Lipo's leg dragged him to the bottom. That's kind of shocking. Now you see, this is the opportunity. Does the creature have to be malicious? Maybe it's benign. I wanted to add a conflict to this because the direction now is like I want the main character Zulu to take action. I feel like so far in the story, life has just been happening to him. And that's I guess to my experience is not a good story. Maybe the like what do you mean by benign? What is benign? Benign means, I mean, let me Google this. See, I don't know every word. Benign. Benign. B-E-N. Benign. It means is not growth that is not considered. So okay, so you're saying that you don't want the creature to be evil. Okay, maybe the creature could be some maybe it like has kids and needs to feed his kids or something when he goes to rescue. Okay, let's see. I did hear it, but it's fine. Lipo says casually through his comms. A large snake-like creature with rocky scales, green eyes move right in front of him. It bit Lipo's leg and began to drag him towards the bottom of the valley. Zuluk, stunned, screamed. Pressed. He looked in his arms and pressed. Accelerated power force of his suit and began tracking this. Let me see begin. See, active voice, passive voice towards the bottom of the valley. Zero stunned, screamed out, no, Lipo. He looked at in his arms and pressed the accelerated power force over his suit and began tracking the snake-like creature, following it for miles. To communicate with Lipo, but does he know that he passed out, or I think it would be more fear, but there was no answers. No answers in tracking. It's like my creature and following for miles. Down, so I can even up and down through caves and through caves. Just even went up to the atmosphere where the winds were strongest. Zuluk tried to communicate with Lipo, but there was no answers. He became increasingly worried. Okay, I have less than 15 minutes and I need to wrap this story up. The goal that I had, the thing that I had in my mind is possible two endings, at least to satisfy the reader, because this is a short story. Let's see how many words has been here. This is just 500 words. I could just like be quiet for the next 10 minutes and just get through 1,000. I could do that. But let me think through the ending. One ending is either that they go to this cave and there's like skeletons of past people that have missed, and then maybe there's a secret that I don't know, there's something. I have to relate it to the beginning, because the beginning was about him thinking of Earth as a distant myth. So I wonder, in my mind, the first thought that came was like this idea that the first colony that came to Jupiter maybe left like a message in one of those caves, and then he sees that, and maybe he's able to uncover Earth more, like more deeply, or maybe find out what happened to Earth. I think that's what I'm gonna try to go with the ending, but I don't know if Lipo survives. But I think Lipo should survive because I wasn't intending on writing a horror story here. Zook tried to communicate with Lipo, but there was no answers. Okay, I'm just gonna just stream of consciousness for the next 10 minutes, and I'm gonna reread the entire story and see where it goes. But I'm gonna try to. I'm not gonna try. I'm going to finish it, and we're the satisfying ending. Zook tried to communicate with Lipo, but there were no answers on the comms. Became increasingly worried. Yeah, I don't know like what you would even be able to do if you lost track of the snake. Okay. He decided to slow down his distance from the snake and follow this massive species as an unknown species from far away. They were entered small cavern base, just Jupiter. Flew inside of the place and began walking. See, when you have so much constraint in terms of time, space, and then there's like, yeah, Lipo, can you hear me? I'm coming to get you. Is on the forehead, on the flashlight, let's see, the flashlight, and on the forehead, the suit shown strange markings. There you go. Drawings. I'm imagining these drawings like the Native American drawings that they have. I think it's the Hopi. I don't know exactly where they are, either Arizona or Texas, but or maybe I'm just butchering the location, but I'm just going to continue this. I need to have a satisfying. There needs to be like a shock or something. So it says walking the flashlight. So walking the flashlight on the fire of the search. Strange markings on the wall. There were drawings. Photos with his suit. I don't think I ever talked about a mask, so he became increasingly puzzled and took photos with his suit. As he walked inside the cave further, there were strange machines and tools that he did not recognize. Oh, I think I have an ending, but I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. Really don't know how I'm going to pull this off. don't know how I'm gonna pull this off. Lipo, can you hear me? I'm coming to get you. Zuluk says over his comms, or says, walking with a flashlight on his forehead the forehead of his suit, as it shone strange markings on the walls. There were drawings. He became increasingly puzzled and took pictures with his suit. As he walked inside the cave further, there were strange machines and tools he did not recognize. And what he saw was a large ship. A large ship. A large ship. A large ship. Ancient. I like the idea of the creature having that be malicious because that is playing a role in the ending. Then from what he saw was a large ship that looked ancient. He screamed out loud. Scream out loud. I know. I think this is the cliche when you're like in a monster situation and pretty much the person should not be screaming, but they're screaming anyways. It's like I never understood that why people did make that happen. It's like there's a large ass snake that can potentially eat you alive and they're screaming loudly. And then yeah, I never knew. Now I'm doing the same thing here. Lipo, how are you in there? His voice echoed, showing there was showing the cave went further down. He heard a piece of metal. I wonder if you should have a gun. I didn't include that. You see, those are like sort of the minor details because I'm like, is the suit weaponized? If the suit is weaponized, then that means that they would know that there's this creature out there. But I don't think I'm gonna do it. This might be a poor ending. I'm gonna end this in a minute. Live, and we're gonna read the entire story. Live, while you're in there, his voice echoed, showing the cave, showing that the cave went further down. He heard a piece of metal rolling on the floor, and it was Lipo on his back. No, I don't want to make Lipo on his back. On the floor. This is tough. I'm not gonna lie. Lipo, are you in there? His voice echoed, showing that the cave went further down. He heard a piece of metal rolling on the floor and looked to his left. And there was Lipo and a young girl. Well, I say young girl, a young girl wearing a lab coat. Yeah, I know this is super confusing, but there was life for a young girl. Look, it's all right. It's all right. I'm all right. My legs have already regenerated. Says with a comical look. Here continues. You are never going to believe it. This is nasty. I'm gonna just literally name this girl Asti. She was one of the original Earthians. Earthians? How do we call people from Earth? Earthians? Mankind? Humans. Original humans who first traveled to Jupiter 300 years ago. Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute. He said, Zuluk, look closely. Recognized. Asti. One of, I don't know if this is a far-fetched, but Zulu look closely, recognize Asti from one of his old albums passed down from his grandparents. He's been testing on herself and finding ways to survive in this atmosphere. I think this is the end. This is the shocker. So this snake is not benign, or it's not malicious. It is an actual human being, the last surviving person from the first. So it's like there's so many backstories right now, because it's like, okay, so what happened with the first colony that came, the first group of humans that came to Jupiter? Why did the ship crash? How did the society that lives under this tube where Zuluk live is, and then why is it related to? So I'm making it, okay, I'm gonna reread and edit as we go. I don't even have a title. I'm just gonna call it Jupitorian. I think I'm just gonna call it Jupitorian. Literally, this is what's this story is gonna be called. Okay, I'm just gonna reread this, and we'll see where this story that didn't exist before and started. Young Zuluk looked to the stars and began to dream of life on Earth. His family left for Jupiter 300 years ago. See, this is where I could insert the myth at the end. His family left. Zuluk looked to the stars and actually, I'm not gonna say look to the stars. Looked in his old and an old decrepit album. There you go. I think this synchronizes the story much more. Young Zuluk was flipping through an old decrepit album. There you go. Young Zuluk was flipping through an old decrepit album and began to dream of life on Earth. His family left for Jupiter 300 years ago. Earth had become a distant myth. He paced around his room, walking over his clothes on the floor, his metallic shoes, and a window completely reflecting a digital image of passing commercials from this Jupiterian society. He opened the circular door on the floor and jumped into it. He arrived at the mainframe space of Section 8, where hundreds of people still in pajamas were walking towards the line of food that had extended itself all the way to the all-gender bathroom. Lipo, Zuluk shouts to an older-looking purplish creature with frog-like hands. Lipo looked around and saw Zuluk. "What's up, man? You look like you haven't slept in a while," Lipo says. "I sense a tiredness in your voice," Lipo continues to say, raising his eyes. His eye socks, maybe? Eye stalks? Making it look more alien-like. "You know," let's see, stalk eyes. "You know, living here hasn't been great," Zuluk said. "What do you mean? We're inside a large metallic tube that extends out for 20 miles out. It's the only thing protecting us from the outside world in this toxic atmosphere in Jupiter," Lipo says. Yeah. That's all they tell us so we don't rebel," Zuluk replies. "You know what might cheer you up," Lipo said, scratching his face with his purple hands. "What?" Zuluk responded with a seriousness of apathy. I'm just editing as we go here. "There's this spot I traveled to last year. It's the most peaceful place in Jupiter. Follow me." They both leave the cafeteria space, or I could say left. You see, leave is more active. They both leave the cafeteria space. Lipo opens a sliding metallic door. See, I missed that. Door with his card on his neck, and Zuluk follows him. After a few minutes, they enter a room full of suits. Some were blue, others were white and black. They each determined the level of threshold they would travel to in this toxic atmosphere. They picked the black suit, which was the most advanced one and suited to sustain the most corrosive gases on Jupiter. Zuluk wasn't afraid, yet knew that new experiences were the only thing that could bring him comfort. They both flew out of the base. A yellow energy beam vibrated on their backs. A large two-way gate opened, and another one closed behind them. Are you ready? Lipo said with his oversized body. Yeah, man, whatever. Let's do this. Exclamation point. Zuluk says in an excited manner. They levitated and flew out of the base. They entered a large valley. The fog was orange. Boulders of rock were flying in every direction. The winds were loud and fast. On their foreheads were a large flashlight that led the way. A few minutes later, a large screech was heard that echoed across the valley. Lipo, did you hear this? I heard stories of people disappearing here. Zuluk said, I did hear, but it's fine. Let me see. It's probably a large rock falling. It's probably a large rock falling. Lipos says casually through his comms. Then suddenly, a large snake-like creature with rocky scales, green eyes moved right in front of him. It bit Lipo's leg and began to drag him towards the bottom of the valley. Zuluk, stunned, screamed out, no, Lipo. He looked in his arms and pressed the accelerated power force of his suit and began tracking the snake-like creature and following it for miles. Up and down through caves, it went up to the atmosphere where the winds were the strongest. Zuluk tried to communicate with Lipo, but there was no answers on the comms. He became increasingly worried. He decided to slow down his distance between the snake and followed this massive unknown species from far away. It worked. It entered a small cavern that was at the base of the largest mountain on Jupiter. Zuluk slowly flew inside of the place and began walking. Lipo, can you hear me? I am coming to get you, Zuluk says over his comms, walking with the flashlight on his forehead of this, and the flashlight on the forehead of this, that sounds a little awkward, as it shone strange markings. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. Lipo, can you hear me? I'm coming to get you, Zuluk says over his comms, walking with a flashlight on his forehead, as it shone strange markings on the wall. They were drawings. He became increasingly puzzled and took pictures with his suit. As he walked inside the cave further, there were strange machines and tools he did not recognize. Then from what he saw was a large ship that looked ancient. He screamed out loud, Lipo, are you in there? His voice echoed, showing that the cave went further down. He heard a piece of metal rolling on the floor and looked to his left, and there was Lipo and a young girl wearing a lab coat. Zuluk, it's all right. I'm all right. My legs have already regenerated, he said with a comical look, and continues. You're never going to believe it. This is Asti. She is one of the original humans that first traveled to Jupiter 300 years ago, he said. Zuluk looked closely and recognized Asti from one of the old the old album. The old album passed down from his grandparents. She's been testing on herself and finding ways to survive this atmosphere. There it is. Jupiterian. Or maybe the Jupiterian monster. Jupiterian monster could be, but saying Jupiterian monster already gives away what the process would be. So yeah, this is the 1 hour. My goal was to write a short story, and I just did that. I'm definitely gonna clean it a little bit more. I'm 4 minutes over, but I think that's fine. But thank you for watching. I see there's about 4 people watching now. Yeah, until next time, I'll do this again on Sunday. If you have any thoughts or comments, definitely subscribe on my YouTube channel or support me on Patreon. I feel I have to say those 2 things, but yeah, This was really, really fun. I hope to do this again on Sunday. Yeah, any ideas you have, definitely send it to me by message or on Facebook, whichever you had. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. All right, everyone. Peace. Let's see.